Good morning, another lesson in mathematics. Multiplication can increase or decrease a number. Let's have a look at that a little bit further. Question: does multiplication always increase a number? Ponder that thought for a moment. No, of course not. It increases a number only under certain conditions. Multiplying any positive number by a whole number greater than 1 will always increase its value. So it's not always the case. Depends on the number you're multiplying with, especially if it's less than 1. Multiplication can increase or decrease a number. Does multiplication always increase a number? Well, as I said before, we have to consider certain numbers. Here we look at this number here, and that is a number that is a fraction. You can see when we multiply the number by a fraction, that 8, we get 4, so it's been reduced. So this number here, 8, has been reduced. And you can see it's been reduced, went from 8, when you multiply it by a half, went to 4. So you can see the number's less than 8 on the left-hand side. So we're using a number line to help us get a conceptual meaning of what is going on with the numbers when we multiply by a number of a certain type. Multiplication can increase or decrease a number. So multiplication can have a reducing effect when multiplying a positive number by a fraction that is less than 1. Here we go. So instead of using of, we're using time. So we're able to understand the concept of multiplying by a fraction. Remember, of means multiply. And how this can have a reducing effect when the fraction is smaller than 1. This also helps us understand why we multiply by a fraction and why the method works. So let's go through the theory, shall we? So using a number line to help us understand what's going on. Here's the number line. We've got 0, 4, 8. In this case, 12. We multiply by 2 by 8, 3 by 8, and 4 by 8. It is when you multiply by a number less than 1. You can see the numbers. Original number 8. If you multiply less than 1, it's going to decrease. And if you multiply more than 1, it's going to increase. So we can see here that the 4, which results from a half times 8, or a half of 8, can be reached by dividing by 2. So you can go 8 here, you can write 8, so a half times by 8. You can really say 8 on 2. Remember, that's on 1 there. Similarly, the result for 1/3 of times 15 is 1/3 of 15. And that can be reached by dividing 15, because you've got 1/3 times by 15 on 1 is the same as saying 15 on 3. When we multiply the numerators, and then we multiply the denominators. Remember, that's 1/3. So just going through the theory, we've got the number line here. We have the number 8 here. And remember, if you multiply by whole numbers or number greater than 1, you're going to get number greater than 8, and if you multiply by less than 1, you're going to get a number less than 8 in terms of fractions. Generalizing the result, 1 on d, that's denominator, n is the numerator, so we've got n divided by d. That means when we say this, 1/2 multiplied by 8, that's your d, that's your n, and that's the same as saying 8 divided by 2. When we multiply out the numerators, which are the top numbers, we multiply out the denominators, the bottom numbers. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 in this case. So when we have negative numbers, that also means it's reduced. So when your bank balance is plus £4, you have, wow, plus an extra £4 to spend whatever you may on. When your bank balance is minus £4, you owe them £4. Wow. Owing is the opposite of having, so we can associate this concept with a minus, or the opposite of. So instead of positive bank account, you've got a negative bank account. This also works in reverse. Minus 4 times 8 means owing £4 8 times over, or owing £32 which is minus 32 pounds. Now, minus 32 is smaller than 8, obviously, because the negative numbers move to the left of the 0, or in this case, that way, when you're looking at me. In this illustrative case, it's a reducing effect. So when multiplying by a negative number, we get a reducing effect. Here's some examples showing us what we mean by increasing or reducing effect. So we've got the first one here, multiplied by 2, we get 2 times 6, that's a number. Multiplied by a whole number, we've got an increasing effect, and then the number increases from 6 to 12. When we multiply now by a half, we have a decreasing effect, because remember this number is less than 1. So the number 10 here goes from 10 and then decreases to 5. So you can see that there. Another example next. Multiplication increase or decrease in number. We've got 1/4 times 12. It's decreasing effect, much less than 1. And then remember that's the same as saying 12 divided by 4, which we get 3. So the number 12, decreases to 3 when we multiply by a fraction less than 1. In this case, 1/4. And the next one is when we're multiplying by a negative number, so minus 3. And the number line minus 3 times 20, so 20 decreases right down to minus 60. On your number line, imaginary number line here, let's pretend that's 20 here. That's about 0. And over here, that's minus 60. So you can see that's decreasing the number a lot when we multiply by a negative number.